I want to start this week with a joke, courtesy of my twin boys.
Once upon a time, there was a farmer, and he had 2 horses, but he had a huge problem. He couldn't tell them apart.
So he had this great idea. He takes his knife and cuts off the tail of one of them. But it doesn't work, because it grows right back.
So then he said, I have a great idea. I'm going to shave the mane off one of them. He takes his nice fat scissors and he goes, and he shaves off the mane. But guess what happened? It grew right back.
So finally he's like, I have the best idea. I'm going to measure both of them.
And then he realized that the brown one was 2 inches taller than the white one.
I love that joke. And here's the connection to the Parsha. We learn about the Yom Kippur service, during which the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, stands in front of 2 identical goats. Cannot tell them apart. They have to be exactly the same in height and in appearance and in value. And he casts lots. And one of those goats is assigned to be the goat LeHashem, to God. It's brought as a sacrifice on the holiest day of the year, in the holiest spot on earth, in the temple, loftiest spiritual end possible for an animal. The other one is assigned to be the goat to Azazel. It's taken out to the wilderness and thrown off of a rocky cliff, a very mundane end to its life. And one commentator says that those 2 goats represent us. Every day we face that choice. Are we going to choose to be the goat to God, dedicating ourselves to God, saying no, resisting temptations, or are we going to become slaves to our desires and be the goat to Azazel? We all have that choice. Doesn't matter what our appearance is, what we look like. Doesn't matter what our height is, meaning our social standing or status. And it doesn't matter what our value is, our wealth. We can all choose to be the goat to God or the goat to Azazel. And what's such a big deal when we choose to be the goat to God is that we had that choice. We could have given into our desires, and when we didn't, that's a really big deal. And you deserve and you get a lot of credit. And when we choose instead to give in to our passions, the opportunity cost is so enormous because instead we could have been the goats to God, and we gave up that opportunity. There's a famous phrase that man is the sum total of his experiences. That may be true with respect to our physical lives, our travel logs, but it's definitely not true with respect to our spiritual lives. Instead, a better phrase would be that man and woman are the sum total of our choices. Every time we make a choice, we're deciding whether to be the goat to God or to Azazel. And look at the language. Those goats are not called the goat of God and the goat of Azazel, or the godly goat or the Azazel goat. Instead, they're called the goat to God and the goat to Azazel, screaming out at us that what's most important is where you're heading, not where you've been or where you are. Forget your past indiscretions. They're over. Don't get bogged down or held back by or defined by them. And don't rest on your laurels. You could have somebody who looks like they're doing all the right things spiritually, but if you could get inside their head, you'd be horrified, shocked. You could have somebody else that looks like they're not holding anywhere with respect to their relationship to God. But how do you know? You're not in their head. For all you know, there are intense desires, yearning to be closer to God inside that person. That person may have made a decision, despite whatever they did or didn't do in the past, to be, going forward, the goat to God. Every one of us, every day, has that choice. We can choose to be the goat to God. We can choose greatness.
You couldn't tell those 2 horses apart, like me and him, right?